This year has been intense. My career has been going through the most, mainly thanks to external forces that I can't control. Oh, my life, my love life went way up and then I brought it right back down in a hot minute. I have started to experience the ebbs and flows of having friends at different stages in your lives as a young adult, and it's new. It's new. And I've spent a lot of time trying to recuperate this year from what I now know is was burnout, essentially. But yeah, before we get into the video, these are some of the tips and things that I did and that I learned about, as well as some things that I researched just for this, just to kind of provide more illumination. So let's start off. What is burnout? The 11th revision of the international classification of common diseases, says it is an occupational phenomenon and not a medical condition. Essentially, burnout is a feeling of energy depletion or exhaustion, and it has to do with increased mental distance from one's work or cynicism and negativity relating to one's professional work, and it results in reduced professional efficacy. Fantastic. Not. So essentially what happens is you get really tired, you feel like nothing's going well, you're not dealing with your stress well, and then you end up feeling really negative and bitter towards your work. So definitely not ideal for daily life, especially one where your work takes up so much of your time and so much of your thought capacity. Okay, reevaluating my self-worth. I'm an overachiever. My entire life has been oriented towards goals and the achievement thereof. I was an A-type before I even knew what that was. I've been using checklists, spreadsheets, vision boards, goals, you name it. If I could think about it and write it down and somehow figure out a plan to do it, I've been doing it for all this time. So when I came to a situation where no matter how much hard work I put in and no matter how much I was personally trying and personally coming up with initiatives, I wasn't influencing the outcome and I wasn't able to change the outcome. I just had to accept it and basically live with it. It was really difficult for me personally to do that. And obviously my brain went ballistic. Like, I didn't quite know what to do, and it was a really difficult time for me. So I've had to start to pull away my sense of self-worth and ultimately where I get my identity from my achievements, and just in general create a new story for myself that is not linked to so much of what I do as rather as what I am. Okay, and all this sounds very fluffy, but it's actually quite hard. So the two things that I've been working on is saying kinder things to myself and being kind to myself within these moments, as well as reevaluating in general where I get my self-worth, recognizing that people are worthy of self-respect or just respect from other people, irrespective of how much or how little someone may perceive that they have done with their lives, and that people are not their accomplishments, they are still people. Okay. Number 2, time in quiet. So for a long time, I felt like life should be like with the TV series and movies and things that I watched growing up. So I used to watch a lot of things like Gossip Girl, Sex and the City, Pretty Little Liars, things like that. And if you remember those TV shows, every single episode or every single moment felt like something intense was happening. There was always a story, there was always like action, there was always, some kind of thing to propel everyone forward. Everyone was always focused on like, today they're solving a murder, tomorrow they're competing, the next day, they're going to the school or whatever dance or thing was going on. It was never, and today they're going to be very bored watching a TV show. That wasn't it. It was this idea that life had to be a non-stop go, go, go. And of course, I couldn't imagine my life, or anyone else's life for that matter, being slow or, average. I couldn't comprehend it. So, however, taking my life into consideration, and then also recognizing that nobody really wants to be on the go 24/7. Nobody really wants non-stop, action. And for the most part, routines and cycles and things are normal. So, trying to get myself to come to terms with what life is, as well as to create a new version of my life and to build these things, has been a process. So there have been 3 things I really got from this. 1, accept life for what it is. 2, appreciate the small moments and learn to live within them. And 3, recognize that sometimes we all need to go slowly in order to go faster than others. Number 3, becoming a better prioritizer and also a better dreamer. There is this great song called Vienna by Greta Ray, and in it she talks about, I think she says something along like, slow down, you're doing fine, you can't be everything you want to be before you die. I think that's the lyrics, I may have butchered them. Anyway, essentially the song is about how you have all these dreams and you have all these things that you want to be or do but before you die, really. And in reality, you're not going to get through to all of them. So, they say that in order to find true love, you have to break up with your endless list of imaginary boyfriends and girlfriends that live rent-free in your head. Well, guess what? In order to find true happiness or like fulfillment within your career or just general life, you have to break up with all like the imaginary possibilities and imaginary lives that live within your mind. Once again, easier said than done. My sister is now going through a need to pick subjects for her high school career, and that will obviously influence the type of degrees and things, or even just jobs she can get once she's outside of school. And I remember when I was at her age, everyone had an idea of what you should do, from the aptitude tests to you name it. Everyone has an opinion, but first of all, no one can really tell you what to do in these uncertain job markets. And secondly, times change. Many people only discover what they really want to do in their 30s or 40s, and if you speak to 30 and 40-year-olds, so many of them don't have the answers and they haven't figured things out. So no one can really give advice, they can just give their perspectives. Yeah, that is a roundabout way of saying that I have come to the realization that you need to understand what you truly care about. You need to know that just like personalities, opinions, and our bodies, and our minds, things that we care about change. They are also subject to dynamic forces, and that we should be allowed to change our goals, dreams, and desires as well. And becoming better at prioritizing isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means looking at all your dreams and goals and things, and then deciding which are the ones we are focusing on at this moment in time. Caring for your heart, mind, and body. Most of the tips are things like go to bed early, have a consistent routine, practice gratitude, read a couple pages in a book, journal, go out for a coffee date with your friends or just connect with your friends. Don't forget to make use of your vacation days. I mean, who forgets that? And then also don't forget to use your sick leave if you are in fact sick. It basically boils down to care for yourself. And then the way I phrase it is, in the same way that you have committed to your job, your projects, and all the things at work, you also need to commit and have that same level of ardent commitment to yourself and to your life, because no one's going to do that except you. I told myself I'm reading 52 books this year, and so far I've been going through it. I think I'm on book 18 now, but we're moving is what I'm trying to tell you. Side note, reading is also very good for putting you to sleep if you are struggling with sleeping. So yeah, and there are many other examples of my life. I told myself I'm not gonna skip my dance classes, and so far I have been pretty good with that. I told myself that I'm taking my dog for activities every day, and she doesn't really let me forget that. life, I suppose. But on the whole, I have been trying to make myself and my life and my personal life as much of a commitment as my professional life is. And that is something that we need to do for ourselves just to prevent burnout from forward. So those are my tips. If you have any tips of your own, I would love to hear them. And I hope that you go on valuing your life as much as possible, because that is actually how we prevent burning out. Okay, bye and see you next week.